Hello everybody, Cookies here. We're going to talk about Huntsman Altimor from a healer perspective. This is through the perspective of a Holy Paladin specifically, but we'll talk about like kind of concepts that work for all healers. So going right into this fight, the main things we're going to be wanting to take note of is that the tanks are always going to be taking consistent damage. So you can see here I have my beacon on the Brewmaster, which is just kind of a default always. And then we're going to just be focusing on keeping a Glimmer up at all times on the Prot Paladin, or sorry, the Prot Warrior. And then really all we're looking out for here is you'll notice that for each Vicious Lunge cast that is happening, that's where the first dog leaps into the group and does some like AoE damage and applies like a little bleed to everybody. We're going to try to save a Light of Dawn cast for each of these, which is like our big kind of AoE spender. So you can see here, as soon as he leaps, does a little bit of damage. I use Light of Dawn, heal the group up. And then here we have Sin Seeker, which is going to be the next major mechanic that as a healer we want to watch out for. And what we're going to be wanting to do here, for instance, as a Holy Paladin, is we should be applying Glimmer to each of these players. So you can see I apply the first Glimmer to the Warrior, and then I believe I start making some mistakes here. So I apply a Glimmer to the Rogue, which I should not be doing that. I should be applying Glimmer to the Shaman or the Hunter, because by the time that the Sin Seeker goes out, you essentially want two, if not that third, Glimmer going out on each of them, because then every Holy Shock from then on is going to heal them while they have this like nasty dot on them. And there are classes that can obviously immune this and stuff. Here you can see I try to bop the Hunter because I'm not sure if that blocks it or not, so I'm just giving it a shot and seeing what happens, and it does not end up blocking it. So here I'm going to hopefully start applying Glimmers to each of them. So there's the Glimmer on the Shaman, and then we're basically, instead of using Light of Dawn now as a spender, we're going to start using Word of Glory just to top them up if they're not topped off already by the time that we have Holy Power. And you can see here we get a Holy Shock back, and we should use it on the Hunter, which we do. And then I notice that I need to refresh my Glimmer on the tank, which should be the next one. There it is. And we're really just balancing between these like players right now. It's the tank that you don't have Beacon on, the players with Sin Seeker, and then you're spending your Holy Power on Word of Glory if the Sin Seeker player needs help, and then you're spending your Holy Power on Light of Dawn for the lunges if the people with Sin Seeker are full HP. But the Sin Seeker players always take priority in healing, so you should just be spending a lot of Holy Power on Word of Glories if needed. And then another like rule I guess I'll go over right now is for the tank that you have your Beacon on, you should not be applying Glimmer to him. You should just have Beacon on him and be applying Glimmer to other players. And then here you can see is where we're just applying Glimmer to the raid in general because Rip Soul is going to be cast, and when that's cast right here, the whole raid takes damage. It does no damage in normal. That's what this difficulty is right now. These kind of chats are just commentary over what I could get into. This is just a friends group essentially, just clearing through some normal, but this easily applies still to heroic and mythic, and I'm gonna do some more I'm gonna do mythic commentaries as soon as I get in there and start doing that. We should be clearing heroic here within the next week or two at least. And here you can see again we have players targeted by Sin Seeker, and my first thing is to get Glimmer out on each of them. So this next Holy Shock should be going out on the Shaman or the Druid, because there's 4 people that got hit in total instead of 3. So there we get our 4 Glimmers out on the players who need them. And then next I should be putting my Glimmer on the I keep saying Prot Paladin. So there I made a mistake. I put it on Plu because they had Sin Seeker. And so I was like, okay, well I need to refresh this Glimmer, but Sin Seeker is falling off and I could already see that, so I should have just applied it to the tank, because the tank's going to be taking more consistent damage than Plu will be. And that's also why we want to apply Glimmer early rather than late, is so that the Glimmers fall off by the time that the Sin Seeker's gone anyway, so that it's not just doing overhealing to players who aren't taking damage. And then we're just going to heal up this Rip Soul because it's getting way too close to the boss with very little HP, so we just spend some Holy Power on healing it. And then here we go again, we have Sin Seeker going out. You can see the first Holy Shot goes into the Warrior. Second one, we use a Word of Glory. And then now we have another one, which we should be using immediately. We kind of delay a little bit, which is a mistake, but it goes on the Mage, and then the next one goes on the Hunter. Mage Ice blocks it, that's okay. We didn't know he was going to do that. We apply to the Warrior, and then I spend a Word of Glory on our Brewmaster because he got hit by the Sin Seeker, and that's I guess that's debatable if that was a mistake or not. I think it was. I think I should have just used Word of Glory on someone who had Sinseeker, because then it would have also healed him, so it would have kind of got like a double dip value. And then here in the last phase, it's really just going to be a lot of group-wide damage, and we obviously still need to see the Sinseekers to figure out who needs, Holy Shocks. So here I refresh on the tank. I'm topping off one of the players targeted by Sinseeker just to make sure they're safe. I put a Glimmer on another, and then we have a Glimmer already going on the Mage here. We're going to apply a Glimmer on the Shaman, and now all of them have it. And now, during this phase, since it's a lot of AoE damage, I'm using Light of Dawn for spenders instead of Holy Shock, or Word of Glory. I should only be using Word of Glory here if these players are in danger of dying. So, there you can see I use a Word of Glory. And the reason we use Light of Dawn instead of Word of Glory in Phase 3 is just because of how much damage the group is taking. It's just way more efficient. Here I run out and bubble. I didn't know if I bubbled if it was going to drop the pool on the floor, so I just wanted to double check. So I just ran out a little bit, bubbled, and it completely removes the debuff, so that helps a lot to know in the future. And then the remainder of this fight is literally just keep as many glimmers out as possible. I just used my bubble, so I can't bubble this unfortunately, which is really unlucky. But we're going to apply glimmers to the players who got hit, myself starting with. And then we're going to get another Holy Shock available. We're going to use it on the Mage. And then we're also going to Word of Glory him, just to top him up. And then we're going to use our last Holy Shock on the player with Sinseeker again. And now we have those glimmers going. And then it's just playing the classic game of just use Crusader Strike, and we're just generating Holy Power with Crusader Strike, Hammer of Wrath as it comes up, and things like that. And that's really all that it comes down to. I guess one thing to obviously mention is Infusion of Light. You guys should not be using Infusion of Light procs. You should just be focusing on building and spending resources, because you'll have plenty to do. So you ignore Infusion of Light unless you have like conduits or specific builds and soulbinds and stuff that go into empowering Holy Light. And that is it for Huntsman Altimor. So hopefully that was helpful. I know it was like mostly through talking about Holy Paladin specific things, but hopefully you can apply these to your, healing class and spec. And once we go back through this on Heroic, or once I go through this on Mythic here soon, I will definitely do commentaries on other classes and specs and cover different healers so that, I can help give tips for everybody. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.